Hello everyone, Jeff with the Green Review here. Mark Twain is supposed to have said, if the thermometer was an inch longer, we'd have all frozen to death. I know what he must have been feeling because I have camped out in below zero weather before. Mr. Twain may have died many years ago, but he could very well have been talking about the weather we're having right now this week across much of North America. We've had this kind of weather before, and we're going to have it again in the future. Right now, we are experiencing a polar vortex snowstorm. A bunch of recorded cold temperature records are being set today. Many people don't know that a polar vortex exists year-round at each pole on Earth and many other planets. When the Arctic polar vortex is strong, it stays constrained close to the North Pole. When it weakens, it forms lobes that slide down off the face of the Earth, pushing cold weather to the south. The polar vortex this week is similar to recent ones we've had in 2019 and 2014. But as you already know, if you've watched last week's Green Review video, snow protects our lawns, perennials, tree and shrub roots, and even the graft unions on some roses and other plants that are grafted low. The flower buds in many shrubs are not as hardy as the leaf buds. This is evident every spring when we see shrubs that have flowers blooming only on the branches that were protected under the snowdrifts. This phenomenon will be more evident this spring. The flowers won't be there, but the plants will survive. Tree trunks and branches last longer than branches on shrubs that are often pruned out after a few years. If your trees have been in the ground for several years, they've experienced cold weather like this before. The cold weather last week also helped to acclimate the plants to the colder air this week. If it had been warm last week, some plant tissue may have started to break dormancy, and that tissue would have been more likely to have freeze damage this week. There is little that we can do to protect trees and shrubs from this cold spell. Small shrubs could be covered in snow. The biggest concern on trees and shrubs is for the ones that are grafted. The desirable above ground portion of the plant may die, and because it is protected by the snow, the rootstock may survive. If it sends up new growth this spring, it may not be the desirable plant. For instance, if your rosebush flowers change colors this spring, the top died and you'll need to replace it. Wind chill is not a factor for plants. They do not feel colder when the wind is blowing, but the wind can be a factor in plant survival. Winter air is relatively dry, usually. Winds can dry out the stems, buds, and evergreens, the leaves. In the spring, it won't be possible to tell if the dead branches died because of the cold or from drying out too much. In either case, they'll need to be pruned off. This polar vortex will reach the southern U.S. and Gulf Coast, but these areas receive frosts and freezes nearly every winter. Gardeners in those areas know to take care of tender plants and to cover ones that can't be moved indoors. Overall, the vast majority of plants won't be harmed by this cold spell. One benefit may be that insects that spend the winter tucked into cracks and crevices on tree trunks and branches may succumb to the cold. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a difference this year. If you haven't watched last week's video on snow protecting our plants, or yesterday's video on using frozen banana to hammer peeps, follow the links and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss such compelling content. And don't forget that the Green Review gardening book is still on sale at the Black Friday pricing. Go to greenreview.com for more. And this is Jeff with the Green Review. Thanks for watching. A little too much wind just blew everything over.